ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the January 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Daytona Beach City Commission. We're happy and delighted to have each of you with us. Madam Clerk, may we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Reed.
Here.
Commissioner Paris.
Here.
Commissioner Strickland.
Here.
Commissioner May.
Here.
Commissioner Cantu.
Here.
Commissioner Henry.
Present.
Mayor Derek L. Henry.
Here.
We'll now move on to item number 4, which is approval of the minutes of the December 18, 2024 City Commission meeting.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Cantu and a second from Commissioner May. Do you have any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. We'll now move on to our agenda approval. If there are any changes, our city manager will address them.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, Commissioners, we're adding item number 8N, Finance Department, Bike Week Sponsorship Funds, $500 to capital off the side for the Community Health Fair Resource Network from the Bike Week funds of Commissioner Ken Strickland. We're going to move item 8G to after the consent agenda for a presentation by Chief Young and approval or not of that item. That concludes the changes.
I move to accept the agenda with the said changes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. There are no questions or comments. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, moving on, we have no presentations under item number 6. We're going to move on to citizen comments. Item number 7. During this time, citizens have the opportunity to address the City Commission on any item on the consent agenda. Our first speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
Just one item, H, is putting a seawall around City Island. We have a seawall on the west side. The county just put a seawall for their memorial. And we have the state did a seawall for the bridge. So now we have 4 different size seawalls, all right? I don't understand the idea of putting in the sea, because I can't find out if it's going all the way around the island, part of the island, north of the island, south of the island, or we're just, so I've asked Public Works, I can't get an answer. Whatever we do, I'm asking, if we do not go all the way around the island, that we plan on doing so, because on the east side, we've several times now, at least 6 times, the water has come up and taken the sand and soil away to where we've lost the sidewalk, to where we've lost trees. And we have to replace the soil, replace the grass, replace the trees. There's no sense in doing this year after year after year. It's going to be this way for a long while. So I'm asking that we look at the east side, and when we do put a seawall there, put it to the point that's undulating, like Fort Lauderdale did, and make a beach, so that downtown people that now move into downtown can have their own beach. Instead of going over to the beach side, when they're walking around the Esplanade, all they gotta do is walk onto City Island, and there's a beach. It is something that is of value, and while we're doing it, we might as well do it right. Thank you. It's good. It has white sand there anyway. Go to the east side and take a look.
Yep, she's there.
Our next speaker is Frederick Brown.
Frederick Brown, 1508 Chris Ridge, Daytona Beach. And once again, on the consent agenda, I am going to voice my concern about the lack of itemization on item 8A. Again, I think that since the city's paying the fees, they ought to know what they're paying, whom they're paying it to, and what they're paying for. Again, I know you're going to shoot it down, but I am advocating that the citizens know what they're paying. Also on 8A, that further highlights what happens when you ignore flooding. When you decide, oh well, it's just going to happen. Okay, $100,000 would have gone to pay for several of the items that we're going to discuss on here approval, including the item HE, which is being pushed to the end. That would have been fully funded instead of just giving it away. Could have been used to help some of the flooding problems. Instead, we're just giving it away. And while I do sympathize for the injured, it should have never happened. Again, this is why you can't continue to ignore flooding. Item 8C also falls into that same category. Again, flooding problems. We got to do something. We can't just keep sitting there saying, oh well. Can't blame it on previous administrations. Can't blame it on anything else. We have to be proactive here. I've been stating this for 3 years now plus. And again, on 8H, I got to agree with John. The biggest problem I see in City Island and the wall that the county just put in is completely insufficient. It didn't match what the original drawings were. It's way too low. It's virtually all it does is hold the dirt. Doesn't do anything for preventing any flooding issues. So again, we should coordinate all of the seawalls. Again, that's the city's island, so they should be the leader in making sure that all those seawalls are at a proper height. And lastly, I want to express my concerns on Sliger and Associates for professional surveying. I've gone out and witnessed their work, saw the sloppiness of which it was done. I saw the, what I'll call extreme overbilling the city had to pay, especially the Bridgeport Heights Park. We got surveyed twice for $5,200 for a 50-foot wide piece of property. I know I've had several pieces of my property surveyed for a fraction of that cost. But the saddest part of all is I didn't see any city representative out there supervising the work, and they failed to find the corner mark. So they approximated based on old data. I don't know what we were paying all that money for, but again, you need to think about that when you just hand contracts out to people. Thank you.
That was our final speaker for the consent agenda.
All right, do we have any questions or comments on the consent agenda? We have a motion and a second.
Yes.
All right. Do we have one? A motion? No.
Second.
All right, we'll take the motion from Commissioner Reed and the second from Commissioner Strickland. No additional questions or comments. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, we're going to move on to the item that was pulled to the end of consent agenda. That's item 8G. It's a police department renewal and upgrade for Celebrite software. This is a resolution approving the renewal and upgrade of Celebrite software in the amount of $75,099.93 from Celebrite Inc. as the sole source provider, authorizing the city manager to execute any documents necessary to give effect to this resolution and providing an effective date. And we have Chief Young to present.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Manager, and Commissioners. This is actually item 8E. This is the acceptance of the JAG grant, and this is the Zero Eyes technology that we're hoping to be able to purchase through this grant. So I also have...
Go ahead and I'll read it back into the record after you go through your presentation.
Okay, so I also have on standing by virtually is the Vice President of Sales, Mr. Brett, who's on team standing by. If you have any questions, once I'm done, I just kind of want to briefly go over what this technology is because it's already piqued the interest of the media, as you can see to my left here. But what this is a artificial intelligence technology that is integrated into cameras. This technology has already been deployed in 42 states, primarily throughout various school boards. So what this technology does is if a person brandishes a firearm, this technology will recognize it, it will put a box around it and actually send an alert. So I just kind of want to go through the PowerPoint. So basically, here is the challenge. As it stands right now, we are totally reactive to most situations of gun violence. So we don't know it has occurred until obviously if we're close enough to hear gunshots or we get that 911 alert and we respond to the scene. But with this technology, it allows us to have that real-time information. because how it works is once it's integrated into the camera, like I already stated, it will circle the firearm, and then there is a like a comm center or monitoring center with a live human being. All of these folks have military experience or ex-law enforcement, and what they do is they verify that it is actually a firearm. Once they verify that it's actually a firearm, it gets dispatched. So we can do that multiple ways. The easiest way is to just have it go to the comm center, and then they will dispatch it to us, but we can also have several people assigned, whether it's myself, whether it's command staff, to receive that phone call once we get that alert that someone has brandished a firearm. So this slide just kind of basically shows what it will look like. If you look at the bottom left there, you can see it already placed a box around that rifle, and this is outside of a school. So from start to finish, the camera picks it up to do the analyzing. Once it detects the firearm, it will place a box around it. Then that's where the human in the loop comes in, and they will verify that it's an actual firearm. From there, the alert comes out, and then we can respond. So the entire time we're responding to the scene, the monitor will stay on the phone with us, much like dispatch would, and they will give us updates. They will give us a description, location, direction of travel, any and all information that they have, they will make available to us. Charles or Joe, this is a video here. Can we get that to play on your end? So if you look at the screen at the top, you can see it's already located the firearm, and it's already placed a box around the firearm. And this gentleman is outside in a parking lot. So from the time they place that box around the firearm and we get that alert, we are already en route to that location, even prior to him firing that weapon. So we are already en route. So obviously nothing here is foolproof, but I'm taking this approach as seconds matter. So if we get a heads up that someone is armed with a firearm, even prior to shots being fired, the goal is to already be en route. So even if we don't make it there prior to shots being fired, there's a pretty good chance we will be on scene and able to apprehend this suspect prior to him leaving the scene. But the goal would obviously be to get on scene and interrupt it and to make the arrest prior to shots even being fired. This is just another photo, a still photo outside of a school with a rifle that this technology picked up. This is outside in a parking lot where you can see the camera's even at a distance, but it's able to locate the firearm and place a box around it. This is an example, even us in law enforcement with this technology, if we go by a camera that has this technology, it would also alert on us, and that's where the human element comes in, because we want to make sure we're responding to a suspect and not a person in law enforcement, not a law enforcement official. So when I think of this technology for Daytona Beach, there are several locations that stand out. I'm sure everybody's familiar with this first photo of the Seabreeze Bar District. So I think we all know what this area looks like on any given Friday and Saturday night. So when I first saw the demo of this technology, I immediately thought of this location, especially with the investment that we've made in upgrades in our surveillance cameras and me opening up my substation right there at Glenview Grandview. It reminded me of the shooting we had about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now, in the parking lot of Razzles, because the suspect in that case drew the firearm, and we confirmed all of this on camera, but she didn't fire right away. She walked around for a little bit prior to that first shot being fired. So my thought process is, imagine if we had this technology in place and I already have officers in the area because they're right up the street at that substation, or they're already deployed in the area, and we're already en route prior to shots being fired. So Seabreeze was the first area I thought about, followed by Main Street, and then also Joe Harris Park. So with the package that we're looking at purchasing, it will provide us 24 cameras or 24 zeroized packages to be integrated into our cameras. So I already have started working on a list with command staff. So we're looking at Seabreeze and Grandview. We're looking at City Hall, covering both the front and rear entrances of City Hall. We're looking at Beach Street parking lots, Main Street, the Band Shell, Breakers Park. For the west side, we're looking at Daisy Stocking Park, the Cherry Center, Joe Harris, Sunnyland Park, ISB and Bill France, the Dickerson Center, and of course our stadium out on the west end, because as we're all aware, we had an issue this past football season with juvenile trying to get a firearm into the stadium. So another thing, we would be, if approved, we would be the first city in the state of Florida to implement this technology. Like I said, it's implemented in 42 states, primarily through the various school boards, but we would be the first city in the state of Florida to implement this technology in this fashion. There is another city down in South Florida that has this on their agenda for March, but hopefully we would be the first in the state to use it in this fashion. So I also have Brett on Teams, if he's there. We were having audio issues earlier. Brett, are you there?
I'm here, Chief. It's the audio is coming in a little faint, but I can make out what you're saying.
Okay. Did I miss anything? How did I do?
No, you did a good job explaining it, folks. It's artificial intelligence software that layers on your current cameras to detect firearms, and the whole goal of this is to give law enforcement, time and situational awareness. Majority of mass shootings and public shootings, almost 80% of the time, a gun's brandished underneath the camera, anywhere from 30 seconds to 30 minutes before a first shot's fired. So Zero Eyes is not the end-all be-all to every type of gun-related incident, but very much considered best in class at stopping a threat at the first sight of a gun, not after a shot's been fired. I'm happy to show a demonstration if you'd like to see a video of how it works.
Well, at this time, I will answer any questions if you have.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I can't hear anything if people are talking, but Chief, please let me know if you want me to go through a demonstration real quick.
Okay, so love this idea. I love and I hope that in governing forward that we can find ways like this that we can be proactive instead of reactive, because this is very proactive instead of us reacting at the end. And I love that. My question is there a subscription that will pay monthly for the actual services of the monitoring?
So we pay annually.
Okay.
So it's $15,000 annually, and again, it's being paid for through the grant. So this isn't even a funding request,
Okay.
because it's going to be paid for through the grant.
And how long is the grant? Will the grant pay? How many years forward will the grant be able to?
I think it's for
accommodate?
3 years, if I'm not mistaken. 3-year grant. Right.
3-year renewable grant, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. I love the idea.
Does it detect concealed weapons?
No,
It has to be.
It has to be brandished. It won't detect concealed weapons.
I have 2 questions. What are the other states that it's being used in right now? I know Florida, not yet, but the other states?
Yeah, I don't have the list of all. It's 42 states, but I don't have that list of every state.
Also, how long has the technology been in use?
Brett, can you answer that?
You may not be able to hear it.
He may not be able to hear.
You have to repeat it, Chief.
Good evening, sir. Brett, are you there?
Brett, can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me.
Chief, if you're talking to me, I cannot hear you. It's very faint.
He can't.
Okay, so Brett, can you hear me now? No. Okay, I don't scream, so here we go. I'll ask you instead. So, 42 states, that's great. I'd like to know how long it's been in use, and also I'd like to know what is the margin of error? I kind of also want to know when things go terribly wrong, what that really looks like. If it hasn't gone wrong, great. But when things go terribly wrong, I'd like to know situations
So
like
can
that
I ask you a
also.
question? What does going terribly wrong look like?
False identification. Just an error rate. Is it 8%, 2%, 1%, whichever, just an error rate, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chief, did I not hear Derbyshire on that list? It was on there? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't think I heard it.
What about on the,
So, and we're still, so as far as the list, we're still finalizing that, so we can have further discussion as far as where we think it will be most useful. I'm basing it off of our intel and where we've had incidents, especially gun violence in the past.
Was Suburban Park on there?
It was not.
That's something going forward I would definitely like to consider.
Okay.
and then also the Newtown area, when we went to our meeting at the church, that kind of area as well. Do we have anything planned there possibly?
Not yet, but
Okay,
we
perfect.
can. And then also with this, if we decide, even if we go with our 24, we can move them, we can relocate them. If we identify an area that it's needed more than where we have it currently, we do have that option to relocate.
Thank you.
So if we went with the 24 but decided later on that we wanted to add, what would be the cost for us to add, and would we be allowed to add more?
Yes, we will definitely be allowed to add. So basically, I was just starting with the lowest package,
Okay.
but we can also expand.
Okay, so if we wanted to, maybe the city wanted to kind of chip in, because we don't want to take away from all your grant, we know you have it all planned out, but we felt like we needed 2 or 3 more in various areas, we could
Yes.
do that.
Yes.
What would be the cost per additional camera, do you know?
So that's why I had, even though he can't hear, that was why I had him on there, because I don't have that price sheet with the additional packages on there.
Can we get a copy
Yes.
of that and where you're placing them as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Chief, I have to agree with Commissioner Henry. I love the fact that we're being proactive. I think we've seen too much violence in our schools and even in our city. And I like the fact that they can be moved if we see violence somewhere else. And the fact that you're starting on the low end, and we'll see how it works. And I commend you and your staff for taking this under consideration to bring before us.
Thank you.
And I hope it works so well that maybe even the county would consider these for our schools, because I think that would be, and I'd be willing to go and talk to the county at the meetings about this program, because this is very proactive for us. I know it would be proactive for our schools as well, and I know the parents would welcome this.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, and I want to echo that sentiment, because we want our schools to have this. And we want to have it in our city. And I want to commend you and thank you for helping us to be cutting edge, you know, as we were and have been in so many other areas. Continue to bring before us, you know, this sort of thing that helps us to be, you know, to be the leaders that we are. Because the work that you do in the community that we have 10 million people who come. So we want to give you all the resources that you can have to be successful. Just hearing it, I got excited. I didn't want to talk. I just want to vote. So I'm excited. But anyway, I have to listen, and I agree with all that I've heard from my colleagues. Anything else, Commissioner?
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read the resolution, the correct one, into the record. It's a resolution accepting a grant award of $60,524 from the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance, 2024 Edward Bryan Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program to purchase an Iris Covert Surveillance Toolbox System from Point Blank Enterprises, Inc., a cost not to exceed $34,027.43, waiving competitive selection requirements of the purchasing code, and authorizing the purchase of a weapon detection software from Zero Eyes, Inc. as a sole source provider at a cost not to exceed $15,000 for a 1-year term, authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute all necessary documents in furtherance of the grant acceptance, authorizing the budget officer to amend the budget, and providing an effective date.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we will entertain public comment if there's anyone who wants to speak.
One more quick question.
Go ahead.
Who was Edward
Come on.
Byrne? Do you know?
Oh, that's the
That's
person.
a grant.
I
It's
know
like they
that's,
do it
I
every
know,
year. I don't know who he was, though.
I know that's the grant. I was just asking who he was, and it's because it's a memorial grant. So, just curious, but I'll Google it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Thank you,
been
Chief.
around since I've been here, I know at least. You can go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, first of all, as President Brown says, you make recommendation. Point of order, it was item 8F, not E, not G. So if you could correct for the records,
We'll correct it on the
the
record.
approval of the consent agenda and approval of this item. To answer the one question that Commissioner May asked, this is software, it's not cameras. So the city has to provide the camera, or the school provides the camera, and then they provide the software. It's approximately $600 per camera point. So if you want an idea on how much it does cost, that's fairly reasonable. And of course, it's an annual fee. So I just wanted to clear up that information for you, and I did a lot of research. Oh, and as far as the false positives, yes, there is some false positives, but if you understand AI, the concept is to reduce that with more units out in service. Now, their theme on the website is AI identified, human verified. So you're going to always have a human verifying it, yes, that is a gun. So that is a good, valid concern, and so I just wanted to help out. I'm very much in favor of this, and I know Sheriff Chitwood is very much in favor of this, and also I'm very familiar with the gunshot detection systems that they're also using, and that does reduce response time. Anyway, I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We do have a motion and a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
We'll now move on to item number 9, which is our public hearings and quasi-judicial hearings. Item 9A is the Growth Management and Planning Department Reserve at Strickland Small-Scale Comprehensive Plan Amendment. This is an ordinance on second reading public hearing. An ordinance adopting a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment in accordance with section 163.3187 of the Florida statutes, amending the future land use map designation of 2.31 plus or minus acres of property located at 1857 Strickland Range Road on the southeast corner of the intersection of Strickland Range Road and Clyde Morris Boulevard from office transition to mixed use, amending the future land use element neighborhood K development policy to allow for limited commercial development of the property, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
I do have Mr. Merrill here on behalf of the applicant for any questions, and no other speakers.
All right. All right, no speakers. All those in favor, let it be
Wait.
noted. Question? Oh,
Yes.
okay.
I don't have a question. I just want to say for the record on here that the last commission meeting, first reading, there will be no residential, and you have confirmed that, correct?
Yes.
That's it.
All right, good deal. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
We're going to move on to item 9B. It's a Growth Management and Planning Department. First Amendment to the Reserve at Strickland Planned District Agreement. This is an ordinance on second reading, quasi-judicial hearing. An ordinance amending the zoning map of the Land Development Code to rezone 2.31 plus or minus acres of property generally located southeast of the intersection of Strickland Range Road and Clyde Morris Boulevard from PDG Plan Development General to PDG Plan Development General, approving the First Amendment to the Reserve at Strickland Plan District Agreement to allow additional commercial uses and revise the development criteria, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the First Amendment and providing an effective date.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
I do have Mr. Rob Merrill here to have the applicant for any questions and no other speakers.
All right, no other speakers, no questions. All right, all those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
We're going going to move on to item 9C, is the Public Works approval of preliminary and final plat for Waypoint Phase 1. This is a resolution public hearing. A resolution approving the final plat for Waypoint Phase 1 subdivision on 261 plus or minus acres, generally located on the east side of Tomoka Farms Road, immediately south of the I-4 interchange, and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the waypoint, I just want for the record, I have talked to the county and the developer. The developer has paid for all the infrastructure at the Volusia County meeting yesterday. They approved, this was one of the projects they approved. I believe COs will not be issued probably for a couple of years, and the infrastructure should be in place by the time the COs are issued. So, and thank you for paying for the infrastructure.
All right, we have a motion and a second. No additional comments. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, we don't have any items under item number 10, so we're going to move on to item number 11, which is our administrative items. Item 11A is the Economic Development Bike Week 2025 Master Plan for Private Property. This is a resolution. A resolution approving the Bike Week 2025 Master Plan for outside activities on private property, authorizing temporary outdoor activities on private property located on Main Street, Peninsula Drive, Halifax Avenue, Beach Street, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard, Martin Luther King Boulevard, Weaver Street, Harvey Avenue, and Oak Street, pursuant to the Land Development Code Section 5.4.c.11 and the Bike Week Master Plan Guidelines, subject conditions, denying certain applications for temporary activities outdoors and providing an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
And I do have a speaker, Mr. Mayor, Mr. John Nicholson.
Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. Going back 20, 25 years, these people are making a great deal of money on our Bike Week and Biketoberfest. If you walk Main Street, it is not in the best condition. Originally, when we discussed this with the chamber, and then taking it over, the idea was to give them an opportunity to make money to keep them in business and to keep their properties up. So I'm asking you again, I know several years ago, you listened to Amy Pyle, you took the fire department, the code, down the street and cleared up a lot of the mess. I'm asking you to do it twice a year so that it maintains itself. It's a great deal of money. So I'm not asking somebody who can't afford it to do it. I know Denny from the Froggies would, well, I don't make any money on it. Well, I was in the liquor business. $4 million is a great deal of money to say I don't make any money on it. And he wouldn't replace a single glass, which was $2.50. All right? So please, we need all the help we can. Hopefully, the Corbin building will go through. It will start changing things. And unless the area is kept nice, it's not going to help. We've got to start now demanding that they live up to the promises that they made. They promised that they would maintain their properties if we gave them all this abeyance. They packed their parking lots with vendors. They were making $10,000 a 100 square foot. So if they can make that kind of money, they're not hurting for pulling weeds or painting a building or whatever. So I'm not asking to cancel. A lot of my neighbors are like, get rid of Bike Week. If they're not going to do what they're supposed to do, get rid of it. It's way too much money and it's way too much advertisement. Can you imagine if we had to pay for advertisement in all those newspapers? We could never afford it. So it's great advertisement. It's great moneymaker. It's a fantastic event for the people that want to come. Just please ask them to do their fair share in keeping Main Street clean. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was my final speaker, Mr.
All right, do we have any Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I do. A lot of the people that are on this application that are, I guess, asking for variances, they're not compliant with the Bike Week master plan. My question is, if it comes before us, do we want it to be compliant before we even see it? Because according to the Bike Week, if it's non-compliant, then it should go to the appeals process. Because there's people on this list that don't comply with permanently licensed year-round business or even doing parking on unimproved lots, like for the last 20-plus years that no improvement has been made. So I know that we do have a review of the Bike Week master plan, and I would also like to ask when we have something scheduled for the public input, because I know that was the next step moving forward. So I don't know which question first.
The Bike Week master plan is not the workshop. The Bike Week guidelines are going to be the workshop that we're going to have for the community, and then we'll have one for the commission, and that will be coming up in February sometime once we select the date.
Okay, so
But that doesn't have anything to do with
not
this.
for the Bike Week
Yes.
master plan. Okay, so also moving forward, right now we have applicants that are not in compliance. Is this how the commission wants to move forward? Shouldn't they be in compliance before they come to us?
That's a good suggestion. I think that's a reasonable suggestion.
I do want to point out, for the benefit of the commissioners, that the way the resolution is written, various items would be approved subject to resolution of all of the outstanding issues identified in the staff memorandum. And there are also 5 applications that, if you would adopt the resolution as written, would be rejected because they weren't timely filed. So, and I can give you more information if you want. I'm sure Ms. Askey could as well.
The 5 who would be rejected, are they people who generally know when to apply?
Rose, could you read 5?
Sure.
So it was the last 5 that was on the actual application. There's one for, it's number 25 on the city manager's memo for Visions Great Food and Drinks, North Nova Road. They're outside of the master plan boundaries, but they also have not been able to obtain a notarized authorization of owner from the property owner to even be able to participate. But they wanted us to leave it on here for you all to decide. And that's why I made sure I put in here that without that notarized authorization of owner, we have no authority to be able to tell him he can do it. If the property owner is not willing to tell him, no. Then we have number 26, which is Allen Chapel AME Church. The deadline was November 22nd to submit for all applications to be submitted. We received their application on January 6th. Number 27, we received their application on January 6th. And number 28, we got their application on January 25th. And
I'm
number
sorry.
29.
Would you go back, Rose, and name 27?
I'm sorry. We got their application on January 6th. On number 28 for 12 North Halifax. We got his application on January 8th. And I have to say, he tried to submit, but he's in Canada or in another country. And there were some issues with him actually getting his application through. So he tried multiple times, but for some reason, where he was not able to get it through. He's a normal participant and he's never been late before. And Jeff and I had been in communication with him, trying to get it to come through, and it wouldn't work. And then number 29, their application was submitted on January 8th. And again, the deadline was November 22nd.
Who was 29?
Number 29 is QMI Investments for Outside Activities. That's Midtown, what is it, Midtown?
540, 550.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to add to the reason that these are brought forward. Sometime back, the commissioners asked that anyone that did not meet the criteria or did not turn it in on time to submit, to also have those applications a part of the packet. So that is why they're in here. If there was a decision that was made not to have them in there, Rose would not even put those in the package.
Correct.
But the discussion took place approximately a year and a half ago that allowed for that to take place to come here. But there is a mechanism for them to go to the special magistrate
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Fietcher, we had discussed that before I had the opportunity to talk to Ms. Askew. Under the Land Development Code, people whose applications are denied could go to the special magistrate, but under the Bike Week and Biketoberfest guidelines, the commission only allows special magistrate appeals if they're timely filed.
Correct.
So none of the ones that are listed, that Ms. Askew referenced, they would not, under your guidelines, be allowed to go to the magistrate for appeal.
Your decision would be final. They had to have submitted by the deadline date in order to be able to appeal and go to the magistrate.
I'm still missing a business. I have Visions, Allen Chapel, 12 North Halifax, and Midtown Cafe.
I think there was a double.
Item 27 is also Allen Chapel.
Allen Chapel,
Yeah,
26 and
Chapel has
27.
two applications.
I didn't remember that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Y'all have any other questions or comments? Okay. What do you all want to do? Need to have some discussion.
So we are getting ready to have a workshop and redo the master plan, correct?
The guidelines.
The guidelines and everything, and it's coming up quick. I mean, we've approved it so far we might as well just approve it until we have our workshop and go through the master plan. I mean, we've done it before.
It's fine by me. I don't care to eliminate people unless they need to be eliminated. You know, we have Bike Week, we have Bike Week. So we can let them in, If they don't belong here now, they're not open and they're not, don't have, like the one that's outside, they're out. They're not within the boundaries and they don't even have authorization from their business owner. That's a no-go.
Correct. I agree.
Yeah, that's not a question. That's all.
So I say call for a vote.
Yes, sir.
I want to be clear on what the vote is. The resolution is drafted, would eliminate all 5 of those applications. And I heard at least one comment suggesting that, Mayor, you would allow 4 of the applications, but not the 5th.
Yeah.
The one you would not allow is the one that doesn't have outside the plan boundaries and doesn't have the owner's authorization. That's the Visions, but your thinking is you would allow all of the other ones that were applied for lit. So
I agree.
Okay. I just want to make clear what the motion would be.
That would be the motion.
To approve with all of the.
We have a motion
all-
from Commissioner Cantu and a second, I believe it was from Commissioner Reed. So do they want it as amended?
I need to amend mine
Yes.
to approve
And that would be to.
all 4 of them, well,
To conditionally approve the additional 4 identified in the staff memo as numbers 26 through 29, subject to the meeting, the additional condition of getting the VTR or other administrative requirements regarding temporary RV parking.
what Ben said.
Yep.
All right, yeah.
But did the second agree? I'm sorry.
Oh, the second agreed. Commissioner Reed, you agree?
I didn't say anything yet.
That's what I'm asking. Okay.
I see both sides of this. Every year, we have to let somebody in that didn't meet the deadline. When are we gonna get this straight? Are we writing the, and I know Rosa's walked the streets to talk to these businesses. I don't even remember Allen Chapel ever being on the list, so I can understand them being late. But, and the other guy had difficulties. Midtown is now the new management. I'm gonna approve it tonight. I'll amend my motion, but I'm like Fannie Lou Hammond. Now I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of letting folks in, because rules are made for a reason. But I'll amend my motion.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't know if I have another speaker saying.
All right.
Are you trying to sign up to speak, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. You can fill that out afterwards. Why don't you come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record?
I represent the 12 North Halifax, one of the 5 that you, and I went to the meeting that you had last year in the other room, and I followed all the rules and everything. The only thing I required at that time was to make sure I had liability insurance. That week I got liability insurance for the bike week time, and I know the owner is Ariel, and he's in Norway, and I know he tried, and I know I told him on November 20th you have to have it all in.
Okay.
And he tried.
We're gonna approve it.
Huh?
We're gonna approve you.
Oh, you're going to approve it?
Yes.
I didn't
Yes,
hear
ma'am.
that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. That's exactly why I'm not gonna ever not approve me. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have any others? All right. All those in favor, let it be noted by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
No.
Motion carries 6-1. You'll never get that from me, ma'am. Okay.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 11B. It's the Human Resources Selection of an Executive Recruitment Services for City Auditor position. This is a resolution. A resolution selecting a to-be-determined contractor to provide executive recruitment services for the city auditor position at a cost not to exceed $33,500, authorizing the city manager and the city clerk to execute any contract documents needed to give effect to this resolution and providing an effective date.
Evening, Commissioners. Jim Sexton, Human Resources Director. We're here tonight to talk about the 2 bids that we have. We have one from Slavin Management Consultants and one from Colin Benzinger and Associates. As you recall, just a little bit of history, back in late November, we solicited a couple quotes from these 2 particular recruiters because we have used them in the past. We used Slavin Management Consultant to pick the city manager, and we used Colin Benzinger and Associates to pick the city attorney many years ago. So at the December 18th meeting, we put it on the agenda for the first time, and the commission discussed that, and there was a significant difference between the bids. The commission liked Colin Benzinger and Associates bids, but they came in at $36,500 compared to the $16,125 plus expenses, which could be up to $24,994. So instead of picking one of them that evening, they directed staff to go back and negotiate with Colin Benzinger and Associates, see if we get that price down. I talked to Colin over the holidays. He only agreed to bring his price down to $33,500. So the 2 bids as we sit here today, one is not to exceed $24,994, and Colin, the local from South Daytona Shores or South Daytona, is a $33,500. Now a little bit of history. Back in 2021, when we used Slavin Management Consultants for the city manager, their bid that year was $15,475, and we actually paid $20,728 when you start adding in the expenses, which he has also included in this particular proposal. So he has, his cap is 55% of his bid, so that's why he could go up to $24,994. Collins is a flat fee, it's all inclusive. Slavin also has, in the event we go out of scope of what he has proposed, that he would charge at $150 or $150 an hour for those hours that exceed what as he sees it in his scope. We didn't run into that last time with him with the city manager, but if you recall, we did a lot of heavy lifting in-house. Susan's crew, we set up that meet and greet in the community town hall. There was a lot of work on that one that the consultant did not do. We did that in-house. Little history on Colin. When we used him for the city attorney, it was back in 2016. We paid $23,250 back then. Now I looked at Delray Beach is currently using a consultant right now to look for their city internal auditor that will also report to their commission. So I called their HR director and asked him, why they went with a consultant, because it was previously posted a few months ago, and he said, when we did it ourselves in-house, we didn't get anybody. He said we got a couple applications, but there was nothing good. They're currently using a company called Raftellus. It's currently posted. So I asked them what they're paying their consultant. They're paying their consultant $33,400. So it's literally the same price as Colin Basinger and Associates. So I just want to give you a little bit of that history out there of what other agencies are doing. I will say this, we've done the brochure, which is where Colin has agreed to reduce his price. And I will say this, Julie Varley and our communications staff, Susan Serbone's group, this is next level, because I've seen hundreds of these. In fact, I made one and I sent it to them. They didn't laugh at me in my face, but it was like, we're going to fix this up for you. And then this is next level. This is a beautiful brochure. They've done a great job on that. In fact, I'm going to email it to, regardless of who we pick tonight, I'm going to email this to you tomorrow. And the main thing to look at is the attributes of the candidate. It's going to be on the last page. Make sure that's what you're looking for, what you had in mind of an auditor. Make sure that's there. The requirements are what they are. They were in the charter. But make sure you understand what we're looking for in a candidate. And that's going to help the consultant be able to, put the right net out to catch the right fish for what we're looking for. So with that, whatever you guys want to do. I don't have a preference in which consultant we use. We've used them both here, both with success. So whichever you want to. That was a joke at the city manager. I hope I'm still employed after this, but.
Okay. Commissioner?
Yes. I prefer to go local. I always like to shop local, and you, Mr. Sexton, you said that was a flat rate.
Mm-hmm.
So
all inclusive is his words. We don't have a contract in front of us, but his words are all inclusive. His proposal is very thorough. The timeline, well, both of them had thorough proposals, but the timeline with the expectations, when he's going to interview, how he's going to do the backgrounds, how many candidates he'll put before y'all to consider. So it should be all inclusive. I've never seen him charge any more, nor does he put that in his proposal.
Okay. And you said that flyer came from him?
No. Well,
okay.
No. We did this in-house.
You did this in-house,
yes.
Okay.
Julie Varley and Susan Serbone's group upstairs.
And so Collins, you won't have to do anything in-house. He would do everything.
He kept, so it was $4,000 for discussing with y'all and doing the flyer. And I said, we've got the flyer nailed. Like, don't worry about it. And he said, okay, then I'll reduce that $3,000. That's where he cut his fee.
Okay.
So, but he's still going to reach out to you. He still wants to make sure you're good with the attributes and all that. So he kept that as $1,000. Now, if we get to the end and it was really painless, would he knock off more? I don't know. Probably not.
Commissioner?
I prefer the group that found our city manager for us. They did a pretty good job.
Slavin Management Consultants.
Anybody else? No? You don't prefer either one of them?
Are we voting on it right now?
No. Well, we will be. Yes.
Okay, it's a comment, and do I want to vote for it?
Well, you're discussing if you have a preference or anything.
I would like to vote Colin.
Colin?
Yeah.
Okay. We can just vote if y'all want to vote. I don't care what y'all want to do. Make a motion.
I make a motion that we, sorry. I would like to make a motion that we go with Colin on 11B, selection of the executive recruitment service for the city auditor position.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reed?
No.
Commissioner Paris?
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland?
No.
Commissioner May?
Yes.
Commissioner Cantu?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Mayor Derek L. Henry?
No.
Okay, so
Motion passes.
4-3.
4 to 3.
CB&A, Colin Basinger and Associates.
Yes.
And that was good enough? Madam Clerk, this was the resolution they approved?
Yeah, we'll just
We'll
final it out with.
For the record, I wasn't in favor of either or opposed, really. I just was, wasn't sure. I mean, kind of wanted to save some money, but I kind of want to be at home too, so it's all good. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, that was our final agenda item for this evening.
All right, we have, who's our first?
Commissioner Reed.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes, sir, I'm ready. I'd just like to share what transpired in the last couple of weeks for myself. I represented us at the Wilson Gala, providing greetings for the city. We hosted the MLK Community Health Education and Resource Fair, along with Kappa Alpha Psi, the Mayo Clinic, the Volusia County Health Department, and the National Panhellenic Council, and it was something. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing us to move the Mayor's Fitness Challenge. I think that really, set the pace. Several of the, we added 40 additional registrations to the Mayor's Fitness Challenge as a result of doing that at Daisy Stocking and introducing those individuals to our park and what we've invested in the community. And we had children, we had adults. It was just really nice. This was actually a city event for MLK. We haven't had one in years, and our partnership with all the other organizations and agencies just made it even more special. So it's something that we've had our recap meeting this past Friday, and we've agreed that it's something that we will continue on behalf of the city. We also had farm share there, so we were able to give away fresh fruits and vegetables as well. We had blow-ups and what have you for the children. We gave out, MPHC gave out backpacks with school supplies because we recognize that most of the time that's done in the fall. Those children use those items and they don't have anything in the spring. So we were able to do that. The MLK breakfast, I was in attendance at that along with yourself and Commissioner Strickland. And MCDC provided scented cleaning vinegar. I have never heard of this before, but we had scented cleaning vinegar in lemon and lavender. And we also give out laundry detergent. There was of course a walk, but it was too cold for me. On Sunday, I attended the, as well as you and your family, the MLK 7 Last Days of King, and I really enjoyed that. I really, really did. I hadn't been in the past, but I enjoyed that. Tomorrow is the Volusia League of Cities dinner, and we'll be sworn in. I will also, once again be representing Daytona Beach, and Mayor Nancy Miller will be sworn in as our president for the next year. That concludes my comments.
Awesome. Commissioner Paris?
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I have tonight is in our land development code, we don't have any provision that a privacy screen is required during a construction site. I don't know if they received my picture, Charles and Joseph back there, but on A1A, this is what you see when you're driving down the road. So like I said, according to our land development plan, it doesn't require a privacy screen. I know it's partially there, but on the side it's not. So I would like the commission and their support to ask staff to draft something up that we can require a privacy screen on an active construction site. So when people do drive by, it looks neat and tidy, presentable. So would that be possible to get the buy-in from my fellow commissioners and mayor?
That was very neat and tidy about a week or 10 days ago, and we had a northeaster come through and blew that up like that. I'm sure they'll be happy to put that back if we get code to speak with them, because we didn't have any problem getting them to put it up to begin with.
Well, it was a month ago before the nor'easter. But like I said, our land development code does not require that a privacy screen is put up. So I would like to include that.
I don't think it's too much of a burden. Yeah, and I think our land development code just needs screws, make them do the things that we want them to do. So I'm in favor of having that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Addressing items of the land development.
Just bring it up.
Bring it back and.
That's exactly what she's asking for now, because it does not denote that. And she wants staff to be able to come back and take this through the process of going through the planning commission for privacy fences on some of our developments. Is that one of the staff members coming?
Commissioner, I was listening in the back. I heard the comments, and we can draft something together if that's the commission's direction. It's Jim Morris, Deputy City Manager.
I was admiring your sweater, brother.
Yeah. Well, I needed
It's
it
nice.
today. Thank you, thank you. I ordinarily dress on the order that you dress, as you know, but today was so darn cold. Anyway, we can take care of it. And thank you for the compliment.
Yes, yes, sir.
Actually, I lied. I have one more thing.
It's all right.
I just want to thank Ann Ruby. She brought up to my attention about our environmental committee that we had agreed on after the charter review that we said that we were going to put together an environmental committee board to review things. So we didn't put it on the ballot, but we did say we were going to do it. So the city manager said that Andy Holmes and Jim Morris are going to work something out for us.
Jim Morris, the mayor, the manager gave us direction today. We're already, Andy and I are setting a schedule to get together and start drafting.
Okay, good deal.
That's it, thank you.
All right, good.
If I may, before we move on to Commissioner Strickland, in regards to the land development code, I have an interest and a concern in regards to that 20-foot thing for privacy fence or fences being placed back. So I'd like to know how we can do something in regards to that. I see your face, Tish. What you talking about, Commissioner Reed? Yes.
Jim Morris again. Commissioner Reed is referring to a requirement that we have in fencing where you have a gate for a driveway. You have a recess requirement of 20 feet for a single family home so that if a car pulls off, it can pull into the recess rather than be in the road to open the gate if you don't have an automatic gate opener. It's a requirement in the code. That's the reason it's there. There's fences that have been built without it. They were probably there before the current fence was put in place. For a new fence at a driveway, we have that as a requirement in the code in order to get traffic off the road. And that's the requirement. It's not 20 foot everywhere. You have your fence on the property line, but at the driveway to come in, you have to turn the fence in. If you're going to gate the entry, pull a recess in and then gate it back where you'd have room to pull the car off before the nose of the car was at the edge of the gate. Is that a proper summary, Commissioner Reed?
I would suppose so. My concern is we have some older communities where this is what they've had for years. And now we're applying this rule, and it's just very difficult. And I know a couple of folks in my zone are concerned about that.
And I think Mr. Morosi has had a discussion respecting a variance if someone wanted to seek that as a remedy. But again, it's a commission policy. It's established in the code. Whatever the commission directs us to do, we can do. And what we might do on that one, Commissioner Reed, if it's okay with you, is do a discussion and some exhibits with the commission, the whole commission.
I would like
see
that,
it.
because
Okay.
to ask someone to take 20 feet of their property to be able to pull over on the side of the road to go in your yard, I think that's ridiculous. I really do.
It's whatever the commission decides policy is. We'd be glad to present. Y'all give us direction. That's where we'll go. And we'll go there quickly.
Let's go there.
Yes, ma'am.
Quickly.
We can do that next meeting.
Sure. Okay, Commissioner Strick?
I was going to bring up, make a motion for a feasibility study for a new pier, but I understand one has already been done. It's feasible to put a new pier up. I was over there a couple of days ago, and it's horrible. We've cut it back since 1999. It's just been moving back to the point where it is now, and we do need a new pier. Feasibility study has been done. The numbers for the cost of it were they came from before COVID, so they need to be redone, so we'll have an up-to-date cost of what it will cost to put a new pier up there. I have a question for the manager. I'm kind of ambushing him here. I feel a little guilty, but when's the agreement with the Anderson family parking lot there across from the post office? When is that up? Who could give me that?
The city attorney would actually need to review the documents so we don't give information that is not accurate on what the agreement says about the Anderson lot.
Okay. When can you do that for me, sir?
I'm sure by next meeting at the latest, we'll have to just find the agreement and take a look at it.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have for tonight. Keep warm and see y'all next month.
So on Monday evening, I was invited to attend the business after hours for the chamber. I went, was it Monday night? No, it was last night maybe. I think it was last night. It was at Pictonia. So in the middle of rain and whatnot and wind, there we were, but many businesses attended, and they're having their annual meeting on February 6th. So it's always good for us, since we have an office there, to kind of be involved with them a little bit. It was really good to see some of the business people. Apart from that, thank you so much for a pleasant evening.
Likewise. Thank you. Commissioner. Okay.
I have nothing. Good night.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Henry.
Just a couple things, and the first thing that I need to know is I'd like to know where we are with the Derbyshire Park Master Plan. I want to make sure that we're staying on top of that. What are our next projects regarding the Derbyshire Master Plan? And if you could get me some information on that, I would be very grateful. And the next thing is that I would like to invite everyone out to celebrate a cultural festival with us. It's the Melanin to Rich Festival. It is going to be at the Daisy Stocking Park on February 22nd from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You'll be able to come out. We're going to have live performances, panels, music, educational experiences, free kid games and activities, talent showcases, health and wellness screenings, food trucks, vendors, and a touch a truck exhibit. So we're inviting everyone out. It's going to be a wonderful time to bring the family out, the children out, and just get to be out in the community. And it is at the Daisy Stocking Park. And again, it's going to be from February 22nd, 2025 at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I am the City of Daytona Beach is one of the co-sponsors, and I'm going to look forward to you all coming out to help us celebrate and support that event. Also, the sidewalks on off of Vine Street, Brentwood, are completed. And they look really wonderful. Very happy with the sidewalks. Also, I have a couple roads that I talked about that the pavement was coming up that have been recently paved, so I do want to talk to you about those roads. And there are a couple in my zone, and it's already coming up. And you know, once you pave it, you go back and you put that little piece of black tar or dirt down. As soon as it rains, it comes right back up. So I want to make sure that whoever we hire to pave the roads, we get the bang for our buck. That's important to me because we only pave our roads every 15, 20 years. It'll be a long time before those roads get paved again, and they're already, some of them starting to look like they haven't even been paved, and I'm not happy with that. And those are my comments for tonight. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I just thought about something. Our first Midtown concert series, Uber, is Saturday night, Bo Peep, at Daisy Stocking Park. We decided to start the concerts earlier because we always run into storms and rain and what have you. But I wanted to share that. Oh, and I had another one. Oh, I forgot.
Well, is it expected to warm up by Saturday?
That's what I'm saying, Burr. I got an email from Katie asking me to MC it.
It's supposed to be in the 70s, right, this weekend?
Okay.
70s on Saturday?
I thought it was supposed to be the 70s.
Thank you.
Midtown concerts. And Bo Peep is the first act.
Okay. We have had, I believe, probably as good a Martin Luther King weekend celebration as I can remember in the city of Daytona Beach. The banquet and the banquet speaker were inspiring and phenomenal. They gave out 7, I think, scholarships. Really 8, because they gave out another one to Child's Academy recipient. total of $22,000 in scholarships to some very deserving and high-achieving young people. The Saturday morning experience was just downright excellent. The way that things were brought in and combined so many issues confronting our community. You had young people presenting, and you had information being shared in terms of education, health, wellness, the things that I believe that Dr. King would be proud of and that illustrate a community that's trying to reach the status of being the beloved community as he expressed. So many things that Dr. King would have been proud of, I think we as a community highlighted and illustrated. So I'd like to commend the folks who are associated with the Martin Luther King Foundation for a great job, and delighted that our city continues to be outstanding partners. We did say goodbye to a longtime business owner, Miss Fifi Ophelia Robinson, and I'm happy that our city partnered with her and her business to create a mural that highlights her business and as a hairstylist, a beautician, salon, and Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune and her part in that sort of business. So I think it was a befitting partnership on our part. And then finally, I want to say that the Mayor's Fitness Challenge is off to a fantastic start with great participation, and I hope everyone's having great outcomes on a personal level. For me, it's been 2 weeks since I've had packaged sugar, no fried food, working out regularly, and just saying that not to brag or boast, but so far it's my best start to any of the challenges and I don't know what it means in terms of weight, not so much as concerned about the weight as concerned about the process of changing and, just being in certain habits, and want to say to our community that that's something that we want to continue to encourage. Doing some great things in this community as it relates to education. Our colleges and universities are having some great experiences, a lot of things in our schools. So just a lot of metrics and a lot of good things are going on with the police department being able to report that crime is down in the city of Daytona Beach in terms of homicides, 50%. We went from 16 to 8. And to that end, it reminds me of something that I wanted to ask staff to consider bringing before us and sharing some information. What would it look like for us, and is it positive, or I believe it's positive. Please consider bringing before us extending the DROP program for our police and law enforcement in the same way that the state has done so for teachers. I believe that it's beneficial when you have experienced people working and we're already having a hard time meeting the numbers in terms of attracting police officers. So bring something before us to tell us what that would look like, with the benefits, pros and cons of extending DROP so that we can consider doing that as a commission. And what that means is, for those of you who may not be aware, DROP is deferred retirement option for employees. It allows them to work a little longer by being officially retired, and they're able to bankroll their retirement while they continue to work. It's beneficial oftentimes so you don't have mass attrition or exits, and it allows you to keep people, I think, who are more experienced. So please look at that and then share some information with us. And the final thing I did want to say was that we've got a lot of good things coming up. Last night with the First Step Shelter. Very pleased that the county has decided to renew its investment in the shelter to the tune of over the next 5 years. The first year they will give us $400,000, the next year $300,000, then this next 3 years $200,000. Now it's not the $400,000 annually that we had hoped for, but I think that's a fair investment and to continue their partnership with us as a municipality, and we're appreciative of their commitment and those who supported that on last night. The Mayor's Gala is coming up on February the 8th. I hope that you all will join us. We've got some promising sponsorship on a lot of levels, including a $50,000 match, meaning that on the night of, if we can raise $50,000, we will be able to get a match by an anonymous donor who will match that amount, which will go a long way in the work. We've got several sponsors who are platinum sponsors, including John Hall, Brown & Brown, the Speedway, Halifax Health, and many others who are doing gold and silver. We will highlight all of those on the night of and express our gratitude as we try to continue to move the shelter forward. That concludes my remarks. Mr. Manager, do you have any?
Yes, I do have one thing that deals with the permitting and licensing fees. I've had staff to look at some areas of what we could do. There have been discussions, I talked with the city attorney in reference to not being able to acquire a building based off what has been provided. So Andy and his team have been working on how we could actually build a structure here on city property and not go after any of those buildings that we were looking at in the past. So I'm asking for you all to allow for me to go through the process to look at what the costs associated with building a building on city property here that could house our P&L funds. We also have funding that is for extending of a city hall complex that are in our impact fees that could be utilized as well. So I would like to take that information, working with our staff, to bring something back to you all that will help to alleviate the audit going forward for the city of Daytona Beach. And I'm asking for you all to give consensus for us to move forward in that direction.
Mr. Strickland?
I was just gonna make a motion that we do that, allow him to do it, and move forward with it. I'm not good with Tallahassee being in our business to begin with, so whatever we can do to get them out of our lives here and get some of our home rule back, let's do it.
A second.
Okay, and I would like to say a few things too. On the permanent license fee, it was one of our priorities, asking Tallahassee to let us spend that money on certain things. And I believe a bill is going to be in the works here soon, so we might want to, I mean, he could still look at that, but we might want to see what our options will be about spending the permanent licensing when that bill comes out, which the bill would have to come out, I believe, by March 4th. All Senate bills and House bills have to come out. So I believe there might be a change in that as well.
Okay, that would be favorable, and then we have options to weigh on
Correct.
what we want to go for.
So I think we should wait till after March to see.
My only concern with
it's okay to look at what he's saying, right?
my only concern with waiting until March is the committee is meeting now, and that does not allow for us to get out of the audit because that is part of the process. We have a way of doing that because I don't know what the bill is going to say in reference to the priorities, and that's the key of getting beyond the committee's report. And so if we do wait, will that bring us to the point of being in an audit situation again? Because I have not talked to anyone with the committee, and that's my concern.
Okay, we're not actually going in another audit for permit and licensing. And with Senator Wright being on that committee, I will have a talk with him and also Senator Leak and see where we are. But I know that bill is in drafting, I was told, so it's legal. So, I mean, it's still okay to look at and see what he's applying to, but it would be nice to see what else they're gonna allow us, hopefully, to spend that money as well.
Okay, and I think you have consensus to move forward and bring something back.
Right.
It wouldn't, I mean, we wouldn't spend the money even if we had it, even if we had a plan, right? The money wouldn't be spent.
No, it will be spent.
I mean, it wouldn't be spent within the next 30 days.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so whatever it is, that's my point. I've never seen us spend 50 cents in that fast, much less the type of money we're talking. Okay, I don't think we need any motion. He's been directed. All right, we have any other comments? All right, we'll hear from the residents of the great city of Daytona Beach at this time.
Our first speaker is it Zoltan Kirkes, and on deck is John Nicholson.
Drink that water.
Mr. Mayor, esteemed city council members and everybody else, hello. My name is Zoltan Kirkes and I own Daytona Shirt Shop on 825, 827, and 829 East International Speedway Boulevard Avenue, which is right now the beach ramp, on the 92 beach ramp. And I'm here just to state and to congratulate the city for doing a phenomenal job on remodeling the International Speedway Boulevard from the bridge up to A1A. And now I'm here to also say that I'm not so proud of the job that they have been done on the approach where our business is located. They have closed the approach since last June, and the completion is estimated to be done by the end of March. We have had no income of any sort. Our expenses are exceeding $5,000 a month, and I'm here to ask if there is any possibility of some financial assistance, something to help us out, because we're really at the end of our savings, and we really want to open up and serve the community as we have been doing for the past 34 years. And there is another thing also I'd like to touch. On the two sides of East International Speedway Boulevard, where the city has made that little beautiful park before, now it's a construction zone. I was wondering what will the city intend to do with those two lots there, parking or another park, or. And also I want to ask who should I talk to about that financial assistance, or if there is any help for people in our situation. Thank you.
Have you talked with Angela Armstrong?
Yeah.
Okay. That's your contact.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is John Nicholson, and on deck is Randall Phillips.
John Nicholson, 413 North Granbury Avenue. At the end of the meeting, last meeting, it was brought up that the park underneath the Seabreeze Bridge was in terrible condition. Yep. I used to go there regularly when we had the homeless problem. I'm quite familiar with it. I drive past it twice a week. I had been there right after the storms to take a look at it. The storms did tremendous damage to it. But the way it was presented, we neglected. I don't know if you've seen movies about Chicago and Detroit, underneath their overpasses, the graffiti, the garbage on the ground, the whole 9 yards. That was the impression that I got, that it was that bad, that parks did not clean it up, that nothing was done. If you recall, about a month ago or so, Danny Robbins made a comment about the city of Daytona Beach and how it was portrayed. If you're talking about garbage hitting the fan, it did. Steve Miller still remembers that. When we talk about our city, people listen. Not only the people that are here, but they hear about it in podcasts, they see it on the TV. So what we say is gospel when they hear it. Well, after the meeting, I went directly to the park. I walked the park. I walked all of the city property to the Holly Hill City line. I walked around, because you get in the fence. The drainage that she's talking about, it had been recently mowed, like 3 or 4 weeks ago. So it was nice and clean when she talked about it. And she said she had just been there. I walked through the park, freshly mowed, edged. There was damage done to the pier. It was from the hurricane a year ago. So they're still repairing all over the city. This is just one of the things that we have not gotten to. Yes, the stones were hit. There were huge waves that took parts of the dirt away, all right? There are 4 parking spaces in which about this much of the asphalt caved because the land underneath it went away. All of that is hurricane damage. All of that is going to be repaired. There are fences around it so you can't get to it. Everybody knows when you see hurricane damage what it is. The park is in great condition. So please watch what you say. It is not a bad park. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Randall Phillips, and on deck is Thomas Russell.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, Mr. Mayor, my name is Randall Phillips. I reside at 1505 Crescent Ridge Road. I'm a lifelong resident, graduate of 1985 of Mainland High School. I own the properties at 614 and 612 East International Speedway, where I operate a bar called Tiernanog Irish Pub with my father for the past 24 years. The property, if you've driven by, you can see that is kind of fallen in disarray on the corner there, and it has been for a minute. I've had some problems with an investor about 2 years ago. I think I was in the News Journal if anybody saw it. I was going to redevelop the corner. My investor had a heart attack and a stroke. He pretty much left me and my father about 1.5 years ago on our own to fend to see if what we could do to find funds and get the property up to code. My father, about 1 year ago, almost died in the hospital, so I've been trying to pretty much do this on myself. But right now, I'm currently at ends because the city has me with about $40,000 in code enforcement fines that they have found from 2011, which I was unaware of. I have a lawyer working in the case right now digitally with you guys, but the problem succeeds to the fact that I was talking with Ms. Armstrong. I can't apply for any grants because there's a lien lock on my property. I wasn't allowed to apply for lien or any type of permits to do any of this work because there was a lien lock on my property. In December, the lien lock was pulled so that I was able to pull permits. I just went into the hospital with a blood clot in my leg that went to my lungs. So just now I'm finally getting back up on my feet again, trying to apply for these permits, and I'm just running out of funds right now, and I was just wondering, because I was told to approach you guys, see if there was a way that I can ask for an exception for allowing me to apply for these grants with Ms. Armstrong to get the ball in motion and get my building up to code. And I would love to sit down with any of you guys to talk about this. I have a lot of good plans for the corner. Like I said, I've been running it for 24 years. I've had no problems with any of the police coming in with underage drinking or any violence. Nobody pulls guns. It's a neighborhood pub. My dad owned it back in the 80s. Like I said, I'm a lifelong resident. I'm here to stay, and I would love to get the place in the code, have a restaurant, have a place to hang out, and just benefit the community. So if anybody could approach, or I can approach and talk to, I would love to. And like I said, I was told to approach you guys to see if there was some sort of exception on the program.
So I've got a little bit of information on this. This is one of the cases that we've initiated a foreclosure on because it's got code enforcement liens. I don't have any reason to dispute the amount of the liens that the gentleman mentioned. The grant program, the commercial property improvement and design assistance grant program, which I think is what the gentleman would like to apply for funds for. The program that you approved, at least right now, says that the property can't be, the property has to be free of all liens. So you could direct staff to change that program. And for example, one change you could make is, unless approved otherwise by the city commission, which you could do on a case-by-case basis, and then just be aware that you may have other applicants coming in asking for grants who have liens on their property.
If I'm hearing you correctly, you said that you have moved forward foreclosures on the property?
It's currently in litigation.
I believe the court case is in March.
Yeah.
Right. We've been dealing with it
And
for
so, therefore, but you're asking, you're saying...
I'm talking about the rule change that the commission could make. We would need some direction from the commission on whether to suspend the foreclosure action as a separate item.
Right. I've been dealing with a lot. I apologize to put all this on your plate.
This is the first that I'm hearing about this particular request and the foreclosure. So I don't know how the process got to here. This is the first time that I'm hearing about it.
And Mr. Preacher, I just heard about it this afternoon. I was told to anticipate this, so, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I've been trying. I've had a lawyer, because I'm a corporation, I have a lawyer currently working with the city lawyers. The current attorney that had it just literally was dropped on his desk, and he's just, the case is so old that he's just, it's a mess. We're working with the city. I want to work with the city. I don't want to be at ends with you guys. I've been on a city board. I was on the redevelopment for 8 years, and I would love to be on a board again. You know, like I said, it's my heart. I'm not leaving the city. I want to put into it and not take out.
I have a question. You said that the liens were lifted and you were able to get...
No. Currently, there's each property, it was I believe a $25 a day fine, which I was unaware of. I was never made aware of, and that was back in 2011. And what they did is they allowed the fines to exceed the $20,000 on each side of my property, which would be 612 and 614 Eastern National Speedway. I was unaware of them until when I started to do all this redevelopment, and that's when I was brought aware.
So the part I'm talking about is when I thought you said they were lifted before you went to the hospital and had the blood clots.
He was referring to what's called a lien lock.
Oh, the lien.
And I hadn't heard of that term before today, but we have a land development code provision that says generally you cannot get development permit approvals if you owe money in arrears to the city or if you have liens on your property. There is an exception for when you are seeking development permits in order to get rid of the condition that constitutes the code violation, but presumably there was a normally applied administrative process here where, because the property had liens on it, it was noted in the records that way. But my understanding is, at least with regard to applications for permits, and again, I just heard about this afternoon, that aspect of the lock has been lifted so that the gentleman would be able to obtain permits to do what he needs to on the property.
That was done in December. I'm now, as of December 11th, apply for permits for work, which I'm already in the process of. I've got the second story windows that were done during Hurricane. What was the last one? I apologize.
I do have a question for Attorney Gross. So the city of Daytona Beach attorneys, we go forward with foreclosures for $40,000 worth of liens?
Sure. I mean, we've had previous requests from the city commission to look at foreclosing on properties with liens. We have a program where we work with staff.
Because I guarantee there are a lot of citizens that will come and ask us to foreclose on properties that may have 40,000. So I'm trying to figure out
There's a lot of factors. It depends on whether the property's foreclosable primarily, but there's a lot of properties, and Commissioner Paris asked about one recently where the properties may have significant amounts of liens, but if there's a first mortgage, if there's a tax lien on the property, if the property's homesteaded, there's various reasons why, notwithstanding the liens, those properties wouldn't be appropriate for foreclosure. And again, I just heard about this situation this afternoon. I don't recall this specific item coming up, for a prior review, but I am aware that we have a foreclosure action on this property currently.
I came in late. Why weren't you aware of this?
So I was aware of the code enforcement, what they were telling me to fix on the property. Now, 614 East International Speedway was an old Pure Oil gas station, which the state of Florida EPA made me remove 3 tanks from, and they pretty much made it a toxic property where I was not allowed to do any development on. I told that to the code enforcement officer at the time. They said, well, at least get the weeds, the paint, and everything else that I thought I did not need a permit to pull with. I went out there with a ladder, scraped any paint, painted any of the paint, repaired any windows that were broken, graffiti. I mean, the area is it's not just me. The area was a blight, so almost every other day I was dealing with.
On that?
I'm sorry.
Do we have proof on that?
I first heard about this afternoon, so I don't have any information.
I would request that, which staff, you've been talking with redevelopment staff?
So far I was talking with Ms. Armstrong for the
grant.
For the grant, and my lawyer is currently talking to a few lawyers right now, and I was talking to Ms. Reno for, I believe it was for to lift the lien law.
The lien. Commissioner, I think it would be important, since we can work together with the attorney's office in reference to the court hearing, but I think we need to get more information from the staff standpoint that we can bring to you, so I can understand the process with the permitting and licensing, our attorney's office and the redevelopment staff to try to help you. And your building is the one adjacent to the old subway?
Yeah, so basically it's everything east of the subway. It's the 2-story brick building and the property next door, which I took over about 2010, 2009, and that's when all the enforcement fines started just racking up, because I think it was that property in particular.
Yeah, that will give us the opportunity, and if we're able to bring something back, if we to the commission at the next meeting, we will. But we'll reach out to you tomorrow, because I need to have an understanding of the particular case and who's involved.
Would I have a number on file, or do you guys know how to find it?
I'd like the addresses again.
It's 614 and 612 East International Speedway Boulevard. I'm right at the corner of Grandview and International. Like I said, I grew up in the area. I've been here since 1976. My dad rented that place out in 1986. And it's just been a staple of the community. It was Howard's Ice Cream. I had a pizzeria there at one time or another, and a lot of children used to hang out at that corner. And I would like to bring it back to that again.
So, who approves the lien foreclosures? The magistrate? Or does that come in front of the commission?
Our office initiates foreclosure proceedings
on
various properties that are subject to liens.
Okay, I was just curious because he said one was capped at 20, which I have the 2 golf courses that both I have caps at 20. So, and there wasn't able to be a lien, so I'm just trying to figure out what's the difference, who decides these lien foreclosures?
Yes. We have a process where we work with staff.
Do you get what I'm saying?
And often we're initiating foreclosures at staff's request. Okay. Because properties may be seen as, say, having a strategic value for the city. Okay. But we still need to review to make sure, whether it's a property that's amenable for foreclosure.
Okay, I was just curious how that procedure works. Thank you.
How far do you think you are from compliance?
With the hurricane damages, there's about $50,000 worth of damages done to the property at this point. Roof on the east side has been lifted up on the property. It's vacant right now. The siding on the side of my current bar has just been ripped to shambles. It needs to be repainted and resurfaced. So I have a contractor currently right now that's working. He's waiting for the okay and the money to be deposited. I would say I could have it done, the work could easily be done within 3 to 4 months, I believe. Well, depending on permitting.
I have another question. When was the last time it was operating?
My bar is currently operating. It has been, I've owned it for 24 years now, other than hurricanes. There was a pizzeria next door called Schrimmer's Pizza, and that was probably 2010. I purchased the property because the owner, Howard Siegel, passed away. And then when the trust company took over, which was Raymond James, they evicted him. I took it over. And then when I took it over, you ever hear the buyer beware? I took it over, not knowing that there was 3 toxic tanks underground. State of Florida stepped in and they did a number. It was like the money pit. They came in and ripped that place apart, and I was, what's going on?
So what's currently open?
My building is the 612 East International Speedway. Yes.
Is your building under foreclosure as well?
Just from the city, just what they intend to they tried summary judgment last month for the 2, and other than that, I own it clear and straight on both sides.
So the property next to you is brownfield property?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
The property next to you is contaminated?
It is now got a clean bill of health.
It is.
There was particulates, benzines from the old gas tank. They had to come and dig the dirt out multiple times, and that's the reason why I could not put a parking lot surface back on the east side there, because they kept on coming in with backhoes and taking the dirt out.
I need more information on this.
Yeah. Okay, Randall, talk with staff. They'll
Yes, sir.
reach out and you got a pickle, but.
I know, it's a catch-22. Congratulations on the no food and no, I've been on the same, and no processed foods, man, I dropped about 40 pounds.
Looking good.
Thank you,
Good to
sir.
see you.
Okay, our next speaker is Thomas Russell, and on deck is Tia James, I think it's Dozier? Dozier.
Good evening, my name is Thomas Russell, 603 North Beach Street, the real North Beach Street. And all I want to say is, after listening to that, I really don't have problems, okay? I want to thank Commissioner, I want to thank Strickland, City Manager, Mr. Fletcher, and Mr. Thomas for getting me information on expenditures. And that's all I'm going to say. I want to thank you as a commission for paying attention. It's nice to know you have a heart. And I'll continue this next meeting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Our next speaker is Tia James Dozier, and on deck is Charles Bryant.
Good evening, everyone. Mayor, City Manager, City Clerk, Commissioner. First of all, I want to say thank you, everyone, for your service, what you do for the community. I know government is a tough job, and you do a great job of it. I wanted to speak on 2 things. Number 1, the enhancements in the surveillance that the chief spoke about. I just want to say that I think that's a great idea. I own 2nd Avenue Plaza, which is 560 Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune Boulevard. And one of the spaces that he spoke about where the cameras would be enhanced is right behind my building. I have surveillance cameras on the property, and the reason that I do that, as I spoke to you before, I have students that work at the building. They run the business, and safety is the overriding priority for me. I see them like my children, and I care about them as if they were my children. So that's why my husband and I have the cameras there, and I am very, very grateful to the city that they are increasing the surveillance, and it makes me feel good when I see the chief bribe the area. That shows that, you know, the police department really cares about the safety of the community. And I want to say thank you for that. The second item that I want to speak about is for Bike Week. I wanted to ask the panel, what would it require to have the street shut down for a period of time during the Bike Week activity? Just for safety reasons, because a lot of times when you have cars driving up and down, you know, it becomes a safety issue for the people that are there to, you know, enjoy the event. Occasionally, you may have people that come speeding through there, and I think that it would be a better atmosphere if you just restricted it to the bikers coming up and down the street, as opposed to having people driving cars.
That's the process that they do. The police department does shut down the street at certain times to only allow for motorcycles to come on M&B.
Yeah, I've seen them do that at certain times. Could they increase like the times that they do that, or do they have like a set time that
It's
they do
based off of the police department's determination of how many people are in the area. So it's not like they'll say from 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. or it's based off of what the police thinks. And there's a time frame where they don't allow for cars to come through, only motorcycles.
Okay, understood. Thank you. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you for being a new business owner in the area.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next speaker is Charles Bryant, and on deck is Christian Bowen.
Good evening, Mayor Henry, commissioners, and city staff. My name is Charles J. Bryant. I reside at 1412 Evergreen Avenue here in Daytona Beach. I stand here this evening as a resident of Daytona Beach, a 21-year employee and retiree of the city of Daytona Beach, and a member of the Daytona Beach Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Commissioner Reed and city staff for allowing us to partner with her and the city of Daytona Beach for the MLK Community Health Resource Fair held on January 11th. We partner with Commissioner Reed, the city of Daytona Beach, Volusia County Health Department, the Mayo Clinic out of Jacksonville, Farm Share out of Jacksonville, the American Diabetes Association out of Orlando, the Sons Chasers Motorcycle Club here in Daytona Beach, and Dr. Otis Kersey, a native of Daytona Beach out of Tallahassee, Florida. We had sponsorships from Commissioner Paula Reed, Commissioner Ken Strickland, Volusia County National Paralytic Council, Devoted Health, as well as the Brothers of Daytona Beach Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. This event was well received by the community as we had performances from 3 of our local elementary schools. In the future, we look to make this event an annual event as we are in the application process of securing the venue for 2026 and have begun planning as well. I would like to highlight the positive acknowledgments and feedback that we received from the residents as to the performance of city staff on that day. As a retired city employee, it was gratifying to me to hear positive input and feedback from residents about the performances of our city staff. Again, thank you, commissioners and staff. Thank you, my brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporation, for giving me a vote of confidence and allow me to take a leap of faith. Again, thank you and for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Bryant has also agreed that he will be assisting with the Senior Oasis Hall in December, something that he started. I just want to say that as well.
Our next speaker is Christian Bowen, and on deck is Jenny Nazak.
Hello, everybody. First, I would really like to say thank you guys for all the work you do. This is only my second commissioners meeting that I've attended, and I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, it's really, you have a lot to deal with. You have a lot on your plate, and I understand how hard it can be. And I just want to say a genuine thank you. It is my intention, and I would like to speak with all of you about this. It is my intention to open a new business on 512 Main Street. Currently, it is an empty building. It's only open for T-shirt sales during Bike Week and Biketoberfest. I want to open something that is 7 days a week. Every day of the week, I want to be open all year round. I'm not just trying to be there just for the good times. I want to build a business there. It is my intention to put in a craft cocktail lounge. The building currently has a downstairs and an upstairs that would be utilize for this business. The downstairs, I plan to have a piano kind of bar with craft cocktails, something a little more upscale. And the upstairs, I want to dedicate it to the alumni of Embry-Riddle. We plan to do an aviation theme upstairs and have acoustic music, kind of a clubhouse for the Embry-Riddle students who are actually helping me a lot in this venture, and I just want to show my appreciation to them. Currently, the building is zoned for just retail. It's not zoned to have a lounge in there, and like I said, it's my intention to have a full craft cocktail lounge at this place. And I'm looking for any help I think I have a meeting with Mr. Fietcher tomorrow to speak further about this. But I just want to let everybody know what my intention is in doing this. I moved here from Pittsburgh. I worked 20 years in a steel mill in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And in 2016, I moved in October of 2016. I moved down here right before Oktoberfest. And I looked at a bar and I saw how vibrant the city was. And I thought foolishly that is how it is year round. So I bought the bar my first day. And then after Oktoberfest was over, I was like, where'd everybody go? So I learned though, and it was a learning experience, and I've gotten a lot of knowledge since then. And I have a big inspiration. My current employer, Steve Brock, I work for him at Urban Ash Cigars. I bartend for him, and he's been my inspiration through this. He's been speaking with me, praying with me on it, helping me, guiding me to the right way to handle this, and that's why I'm coming along with you.
I have a question. Have you ever owned anything like this before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I actually owned Smokey's Cigar Bar, which was right across the street from Urban Ash. I don't know if you know where Urban Ash is. I know you do. But right across the street it was an old Smokey's Cigar Bar. But I actually bought that. I actually bought into it. It was already open 5 days before Bike Week started. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have a great start. And that was in March of 2020. And then 3 days into Bike Week, COVID hit and we got shut down. So.
And he's an entertainer, so he knows the purpose.
I am an entertainer. I'm a singer and a guitar player. And I do know the business quite well now. And I'm looking forward to this. So I just would like your support in all this. All right, thanks guys.
Our next speaker is Jenny Nazak, and on deck is Catherine Pant. Huh?
Good evening, everybody. Jenny Nazak, 501 Harvey. I would like to say, as a Main Street area resident, I'm in favor of that gentleman's plan. And I also want to really praise Randall Phillips, my neighbor and business owner of the Tiernanog. That's been a real hub of independent music and comedy. And a business like that in my neighborhood, it's kind of a blighted area. Every time a business goes down or another building gets torn down, it's really kind of devastating. Back around 2015, not that long after I moved to Daytona Beach, I gave a little talk at a little mini TED Talk style event called Filling Our Empty Spaces. And it was all about how to, just everything, all the buildings and parking lots and things. And everything I said is like even more true today because we've lost a lot. So I really hope things can work out with Randy and his building. He's just a lovely person and community member and all that. I want to invite you guys to the Fresh Book Festival next month. That is February 21st and 22nd. And if you go, you can go to the Mellenden Too Rich Festival is right there in Daisy Stocking Park on the 21st, 22nd. Yeah. So it's like right nearby. That's convenient. And also, if you go to the Fresh Book Festival, you'll get a chance to see the launch of my humorous novel that is about a failed environmental activist who has not been able to help her city stop the flooding and the desolation. So it's a humorous science fiction novel that also contains actual tips and resources for people. So, and if you go and see it, then you'll know what my fiction pen name is. But if you don't go to the Fresh Book Festival, you'll just have to find my book in the wild somehow. Thank you all. Have a nice evening.
One of a kind.
Our next speaker is Catherine Pant, and on deck is Frederick Brown.
Good evening, Commission. Catherine Pante. The reason I wanted to speak tonight is the City of Ormond Beach recently voted to take fluoride out of their water. It's protected.
Protected?
Yeah.
Protected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Continue? Okay. So the City of Ormond Beach passed, they voted yes to eliminate fluoride from their water last night, as did the City of Port Orange. So I request the City of Daytona Beach remove fluoride from the water. It is a known endocrine disruptor, which means it affects the thyroid and raises TSH and lowers T4 and T3. It's also a neurotoxin, and it affects the kidneys, creating kidney disease, and with that, it also affects bone loss. So that is my request for this evening. I also want to piggyback on this gentleman's flooding. We do have to do something about our flooding, and we can't keep developing our way out of it, because it's not going to happen. The other thing is I'm in support of that gentleman's business, because he's been here a long time and in business, and he always ran a good business. I used to go there when I would go out to clubs. I just don't club it anymore. And I'm fully in support of the Daytona Beach Police Department extending their drop program. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would also like to support Randy.
Our final speaker tonight is Mr. Frederick Brown.
Frederick Brown, 1508 Crescent Ridge. And yes, Randy is my neighbor. And he didn't tell you half of the drama that he had to go through for all of that. And the fact that they allowed the fees to build up when he didn't even know. His dad went through some serious health problems, and it was all he could do to keep him alive. So yes, we all want to see that business succeed, and I throw my support behind it as well. Randy's been here a long time. I've known him for quite a while. He's a great guy, so please help him out. Things that are good for Daytona. I love that theme that Commissioner Henry started the last meeting. Mayor's Fitness Challenge, great. It was good to see the city manager out there sweating it out, and even got the mayor out there too. So, and I know with his schedule that's difficult. I neglected to mention, I wanted everybody to know he did have a free candy giveaway outside of his office to get rid of all that sugar. So. It's one of those things you get at Christmas, you get all these things. I do want to thank the number of people here. A number of them are here in this meeting, and of course the mayor. It was kind of a neat thing to see him on the other side of a 3-minute timer at the 6.5-hour marathon meeting at the city. The Volusia County Council meeting. I always thought the meetings here sometimes were lengthy, but boy, I'll tell you what, when you go to a Volusia County meeting, it's quite the event. But it was good to see all that. I do have to agree with Ann Ruby. There's a few things that need to be tidied up. I trust they will be. I know her heart's behind it. I think it's a great idea. I don't even think half the arguments were presented that needed to be for all the things that are in favor of the homeless shelter. But it's a great thing, and I hope we can get those few little problems cleaned up. But I do think that it was great to see everybody there supporting it. Again, I would be remiss not to talk about flooding. One of the things that has taken up the overwhelming majority of the time at the council meeting has been flooding. There was a 7-hour and 22-minute marathon earlier in the week all about flooding. Again, I've spoken endlessly about this. Unfortunately, Daytona Beach has been guilty of allowing a lot of the problems to occur, and I certainly hope you just approved it tonight. The property on Strickland Range has some way of getting flood insurance, but one of the things, if you stayed through the entire meeting, is the building requirements now require them to raise the properties around it. Well, that's great for that business, but it floods everybody around them. And I can just tell you from my personal experience of being up in there, there's a lot of muck up there. And all those apartments that were allowed to be built, they removed all of the bogs that were the sponge that absorbed the floodwater. So the benefits of doing all that are going to be coming to roost in the next rain event, and we will have another rain event. So I think it's very important that we look more carefully at these things. I had a great number of other things to discuss. We don't have a timer here. What happened to our timer?
It will come.
All righty, thank you. And by the way, to support Jen Mazak's failed efforts, the ribbon cutting, I believe the city manager said there's going to be a ribbon cutting for International. I wish you'd listen to Jen, and I know we have a DOT representative, but that was a perfect place to have the beachside landscaping, was on that center median. And we got, right now we got grass.
International.
Good night.
I just see green grass.
International was one of the city's biggest priorities, so, and it is,
good.
You know, it was, and so we're proud of it, definitely ribbon cutting. Good night, Daytona Beach, continue to be great.